And he has taken the Dallas Mavericks to the brink of an NBA title. Now Dirk Nowitzki could seal the deal with one more win this weekend. We'll look at what kind of money the championship could generate for it. Coming up on Bottom Line, he's one of the biggest stars in the NBA, and Dallas Mavericks fans can't get enough of him. So why is the 7-foot-tall Dirk Nowitzki, who, by the way, played the other night with a 102-degree fever and a sinus infection, why is he hardly noticed by advertisers? We'll have details, but the Dallas Mavericks defeated the Miami Heat last night to move to within one win of their first NBA championship. The Mavs' Dirk Nowitzki scored 29 points and may be considered one of the standout stars in this year's series. But what about his appeal off the court? For more on that side of the story, let's bring in Bloomberg sports reporter Michele Steele. She is standing by with a special guest. Michele?
Hey, Mark. Yeah, Dirk's been doing work on the Heat, but according to a branding firm, the marketing arm, he scores a dismal 45 on the Davy Brown Index, used to measure celebrity appeal and brand influence. Now, for more on that, I'm joined by Bill Glenn. He's the senior vice president over at the marketing arm. He comes to us from Dallas. And Glenn here, first, let's define our terms. Let's define the Davy Brown Index. What are the top qualities that these businesses look for in a superstar to make them marketable?
Sure, Michele, thanks. The Davy Brown Index measures about 8 attributes. The first is awareness. Brands want to know that people know the athlete, but it also measures key pieces like endorsement, influence, breakthrough, trend setting, attributes brands care about.
Right. Now, he's been obviously a huge star on the court, came up big yesterday, but he does not compare very favorably to Jordan, to Kobe, or even LeBron when it comes to marketability. Is it just because he's not American? Is it because marketers shy away from guys who really don't play above the rim? I mean, what is he missing here?
I think that's probably a combination of 3 things. Number one, Dirk's concerned about playing basketball right now, and you can tell he's on a mission. And so endorsements are sort of an afterthought for him. But secondly, I think the brand Dirk is not quite defined yet. And if you look at Dwayne Wade is your Porsche and Dirk may be your Volkswagen. They both get it done, but Dirk has just not, stretched out himself from a brand standpoint and really gotten out there and joined up with brands who can help define his brand globally.
Right. If Wade's a Porsche, he's a Porsche that might have to go in for repairs, considering what happened to his hip yesterday. Now, desire, as you mentioned, might be one thing. Dirk actually telling me this week in an email, he always wanted to be a basketball player, nothing more, nothing less. Now, we know that trend setting is also a factor here. Who is in this space as far as how much of a trendsetter, an influencer he really is? Who does he compare to?
From a trend-setting standpoint, I mean, entertainment-wise, he's like a Bob Newhart. I mean, he's pretty bland right now. That's not a bad thing. It's just going to define the types of brands that are going to link with his attributes. So if you look globally, I personally think that a global brand is going to have to step up and actually link to that German heritage. That sort of brings up auto manufacturers, beers, categories that aren't necessarily that flashy. Like a LeBron is. You're just going to have to align yourself with who Dirk is. Now,
Bill, I know you can't see it from where you are in Dallas, but we put up a few of the people that the marketing arm found to be in the same sort of sphere of influence as Dirk Nowitzki. As you mentioned, Bob Newhart, Barbara Walters, and Martin Mull. So fair to say that Dirk Nowitzki is not going to be endorsing like iPhones anytime soon.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty safe bet.
And he's on the same level in terms of being a brand endorser as a David Letterman or a Joe Paterno. What's that about?
Well, I'll tell you what. The people who do know Dirk, even though it's only about 35%, they do highly trust him and they like him. And so those are 2 attributes that brands can tap into. And I think he's a brand that following this finals, here's an MVP and a potential finals MVP. Who will be quite valuable to the brand who knows how to use them correctly. Yeah,
and marketable in Germany, certainly. And finally here, last question, let's talk about the star who everyone had been expecting to really stand out in this series. Of course, LeBron James. If the Heat go on and lose these finals, does LeBron hurt his marketability?
No, absolutely not. And in fact, I would suggest to you that might actually help LeBron because his image right now is somewhat evolving. Some people like him, some people don't. In Cleveland, he was loved. If he loses this championship, I think it's sort of a humility, a dose of humility to that image, gives him a chance to regroup, and really make his brand more powerful coming out of it.
That's interesting. So you think that losing it actually makes LeBron a better marketer, or at least more attractive to marketers, because he'll be more human.
Right.
That's an interesting take. Mavs in 6 or Heat in 7? Who do you like?
Mavs in 7. Got to go with the hometown.
Mavs in 7. All right. I'm going to take Mavs in 6, or not at all.
I love it.
I think it's
I'd
got to
prefer
happen
yours.
in 6. We'll see. We'll find out on Sunday night. Mark, back over to you.
All right, Michele Steele and Glenn, thank you both so much. I know one city who's rooting for the Dallas Mavericks, Cleveland.